It's the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Tune in, tune in, tune in, tune in, tune in.
Here's just the reality, right? We both live in California. Y'all are in Sacramento area. I'm in LA. It's expensive, right? Now we're not talking about FHA and those opportunities and being able to get into a property that way. We're talking about buying as an investor.
Right.
$500,000. I ain't got 20%. I'm pretty sure you don't want to part 20% on that. So, I encourage everyone who is in an expensive market, whether it's Miami, New York, whatever, consider investing out of state. These two have done it from California to the East Coast to the South. It's possible. And they pick up the phone, talk to some people, do your market research and see if there's a good opportunity. Right. And it's probably a better option or an option to look into instead of just looking at where you're at. It's too expensive, but there's other options out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it's really all about relationships too, Sam. Like once you build those relationships with people, man, it's the possibilities are endless. So after the first one, we did the front end work all virtual, but when we went to we signed remote. So we had a notary come to our home and we signed remote and wired the money remote and everything. But we like to kind of do like a mini trip just to go see the house maybe and then hand the keys to the property manager, meet them. And so we did that. And then you get to meet your agent face to face, after those phone conversations, you get to meet the property manager and then you just begin to build a relationship with them. And so the next transactions only go smoother. The next two homes, Sam, I don't even think I talked to my agent on the phone. We literally would text message each other. I like this house. Okay. We want to offer X, all right, I'm sending it to the listing agent now. They accept it. I mean, we didn't even talk on the phone. It just became so seamless that it's just like, it's really easier than a lot of people think.
Definitely. So when you're looking at properties or in this particular market, what were you looking for? Were there certain prices you were looking for, certain like rents and cash flow you wanted? Like, how did you figure out? I know, of course, the principles and the basics are the same, but it's a different market. So how did you settle on, what would work for you two?
Man, great stuff. So for this market, this is not a high equity area. So the prices of the homes don't really raise drastically in Montgomery, but it seemed like a very good cash flow situation. So we had to take that in consideration. And really for what we're trying to do, which is retire early, the cash flow thing was great for us. So we said, you know what, this will be a good area to really facilitate that. We may not get the huge equity like we got in Greensboro, but that's okay because the cash flow is there, and that means we can rinse and repeat and do it, stay in this market potentially longer than we could before we were priced out of Greensboro. So that was one thing we definitely took into consideration. And then, you have to assess your risk tolerance. My wife, sometimes I listen to a lot of these, single men who are investors, and I'm just like, man, that must be cool to just kind of just, do more risky things because I'm a more risky guy. But with my wife, she has a level of security that she needs, right? So they had to be turnkey. She doesn't like decks and like, a lot of stairs for some reason. That makes her feel a little on edge. What if someone slips? So those are things that we had to consider when we were looking. We wanted homes that were really turnkey, didn't need a lot of work. So those were all things that we were going into it looking for. And as far as return, I was excited because the spreads here were a little bit more than Greensboro. Greensboro, we're getting, right around the 1% rural return. Here it's a little higher, 1.3, 1.4. So we were happy about that, and we were willing to live in to buy in an area that didn't, the home prices doesn't go as quickly in order to get that higher cash flow. So that was big for us.
Definitely. And it's something you mentioned a couple of times, turnkey. And, there are different approaches in real estate, right? Some people, plenty of people love, like, I want a full gut job. I want to do a full rehab. Even if I'm from out of state, I don't care. I want to take it on, and that's my thing. And it's sexy, right? But another approach is just buying something that needs very little or nothing that you can put a tenant in and start collecting rent. So can you
Yeah.
talk more about that approach? And I know, of course, like the risk tolerance and so forth is part of it, but can you explain a bit more about the benefits of just buying something that's ready, more or less ready to go?
Oh man, this is great stuff. So I love watching people do flips, right? I love, the HGTV stuff and just, seeing the process, but it's like, I know that probably wouldn't be for me,
Mhm.
it definitely wouldn't be for my wife. So the turnkey thing just really puts us at ease that we can go there. First of all, we're buying remote. So that's already, you're already, kind of stepping out there doing that. Then you go, a lot of times you're there for maybe 3-4 days, you take a look at the property, you get the keys and you pass the keys over to the property manager and you go back 2,000 miles away. It's a lot more peace of mind for us knowing that, man, all they really have to do is do a deep cleaning or, maybe do some paint and man, they'll have a tenant in there within, 2-3 weeks. There's something very uh comforting about that. Like, and then once you get that tenant in, because we like to get a tenant in before we have to make the first mortgage payment. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. I don't want to make any payments myself. So when you get that call, like, yep, we got a tenant, they'll be starting first to next month. It's just like, man, let's do this. That was too easy. Let's do this again. And there's something about that. Now you have to consider you might not get as much return as you would if you got something that needed a whole bunch of work and you could get it for dirt cheap. But at the same time, we're not putting that sweat equity in it either. And so for us, it makes it easier for us to turn and do the next when it really causes minimal heartache, So that's kind of big for us.
Definitely, definitely. And property managers, people have different opinions, people have different experiences. What has worked for you two in or you know what? Better question. How's your experience been with property managers, and what are some suggestions you have for how somebody can do their best to choose a good property manager?
Now this is a big one because, man, Sam. So in North Carolina, our property manager there, they spoiled us. They spoiled us rotten, man. The sweetest people you will ever meet. They go above and beyond. They they're just, you couldn't ask for a better property manager. And I've heard a lot of investors, listening to podcasts and listening to other investors talk about the importance of a good property manager. Man, you can't really even put into words that if you're out of state, how important a good property manager is. And so we've had some struggles, with the current manager. But they get tenants in, they address the problems. Um, and you know, you want someone when you're looking for a property manager, you want someone who has a good attention to detail, who is going to meet the tenant's needs quickly, who will respond to your request quickly, your phone calls quickly. And so those are just things you want to look for. And you want to give, I do want to say this, you want to give them grace. You are hiring them, so you can fire and move on, but you want to give them grace because it's a hard job, And when you look at what they're getting for what they do, I mean, they do a lot of work for, in our case, $80 a month. You know what I mean? That's a lot of. I mean, it can be minimal work for them once they get a good tenant and they have a good property. But when there's work to be done and there's an issue and this issue, it could be a lot of work for them. So I try to consider that when dealing with the property manager. But all in all, we've had a fairly pleasant experience with our property managers. But I do have another another couple managers in the tuck if the things don't work out. So that's important to have because you want to have the best experience. You want to keep tenants in there. You want to keep your tenants happy, and you want to keep your home up. You don't want things going unfixed and then turning into bigger problems. So some things to think about.
Definitely, that makes sense. Would you say communication is one of the challenges that you're currently having?
Yeah, I would say the communication. Here's the thing too, Sam. I know you have homes in other parts of the country. In the South, man, and compared to Cali, they just they get to when they get to it, man. You know what I mean? Their phone calls, it's a lot. It's just a different energy, and I love it. But sometimes you're waiting for a quicker, swifter response than you get. I've definitely noticed that. But aside from that, you know, communication is definitely the most important thing. You know, getting back to me when I have inquiries, getting back to the tenants when they have issues, it's important, man. And so, you know, as we scale this thing, and then as we eventually are able to come off the jobs, I think we may try to manage our own properties. That's something that I definitely think we can do. It's just right now, it's just not very feasible for us to do that now. But it's something that we're looking into doing in the future for sure.
Hi everyone, Sam here from the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Make sure to hit that notification bell and that subscribe button, and to visit us at blackrealestatedialogue.com.